So here we are. It's a video cast on this beautiful Tuesday evening in the month of June. Man, how you guys been?
Not good.
No. Tell us about your woes, Kyle.
My woes? Okay. Excellent. So, is this it's a compounding thing. Very funny story. So, the laptop I just bought went to junk.
Yeah.
Chip went out on it. I mean, it happens, but it's one of those things where, I mean, it always happens to somebody else. It never happens to me. So, wasn't a big fan. I got to send it in, be without it for about 2 weeks. Second thing is the internet in my apartment. The modem's been going bad for a while, and what you got to do is you unplug it, plug it back in. It works for about 3 days or so. Well, now it's like 3 hours or so, and it goes bad. So
it loses your IP or what? It just stops.
It just everything just dies. Just need a new modem. So there was that. What else? There's something else that happened. I can't remember. But the reason I'm saying all this is because it all came together. I think it was Monday night. So I'm sitting there, and I'm just going through Netflix, and I'm watching, and I'm going through, and for one reason or another, I decided to watch Corky Romano. Why I stopped on Corky Romano?
Because it's all on you. Yeah.
And I felt the depression just like bubbling up and constantly going and going and going. I got more and more depressed and sad as the movie kept going.
As you throw that fourth Totino's into the oven.
Yeah. I'm like, this isn't a movie. Like, this is the bit of He's Clumsy extended for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
With Sean Penn's less talented brother,
who's now dead.
Yeah, as the gay brother, whose buddy acts straight, and it was terrible. I had to turn it off, and I was like, "What am I doing? Why am I watching Corky Romano?" I don't know. So I guess.
So Corky Romano blew up your laptop.
No, Corky Romano almost blew up my life. The laptop was already gone. That wasn't Corky's fault.
Oh, okay. Good stuff. So yes, needless to say, no editing. Here we are. We're straight shooting, so boom. What you see is what you get. You know, there's no post-production tonight. Good deal.
There's very little post-production ever, so
they don't know that. They do now.
They do know that. They've got eyes. They know that.
Yeah.
Maybe some of them don't.
Maybe.
So man, what some big things today, today being June 9th as it is. We have Elder Scrolls Online hit the market.
Nerd.
Anybody partake?
I'm still trying to beat Skyrim, so
right. That you can't beat Skyrim.
I know, but
so.
I'm going to eventually. That's the goal here. One day I will have beaten Skyrim.
Yes. Yeah, so that came out. And we're just 2 weeks away from Batman.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So we'll have some awesome reports on that, and we'll have to do some side-by-sides. Maybe see if we can get Josh away from his child and bust out that video recording stuff. And hopefully we'll have some footage for you there. Of course, check out our M rating video
Batman.
over in the side panel there.
God, you just
pretty amazing.
You guys just don't think of how much work it is to put links to videos in it, do you? You just think, oh, Kyle can do it.
It's on the side. I'm
sure,
over.
it's 10 seconds worth of work, but I don't have that kind of time. I gotta kill myself to Corky Romano. Oh. And then if you got that gun in your mouth and you just can't manage the bullets, I hear they're gonna have Undercover Brother next month, so...
Wow.
That's a good movie,
More
too.
Chris Kattan.
What are you... Come on,
Night at the Roxbury.
Actually, I watched that, too, anyways.
Wow.
Undercover Brother is like the precursor to Black Dynamite.
It's okay, it's enjoyable in a bad way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's enjoyable.
No Patrick Harris doing Mortal Kombat fatalities, you know?
Yeah.
What's not to love?
So I got a couple of things here for you, gentlemen. Number one, there is going to be, well, with our help and your help, there's going to be a China documentary.
Good deal.
A China the Wrestler.
The Wrestler.
I assume there's many documentaries on the country,
right.
but this is about the wrestler. Why? It's called The Resurrection of China. Director is Eric Angra. Once again, do not rely on Kyle to ever pronounce a last name correct. And this guy, he's kind of done stuff like this before. He's toured with punk bands.
Okay.
He has some footage for ESPN 30 for 30. So this is kind of his wheelhouse. Like I said, I don't really know the guy's work, but apparently this is the kind of thing. And here's their little follow-up on it.
I just keep thinking, like, the resurrection of China, and then, like, it's a guy who's toured with bands before. Like, I keep thinking it's going to be, like, some sort of a cross between, like, One Night in China and Spinal Tap. I don't know. That's what's boiling in my mind right now, and I would pay lots of money to watch that.
Yeah. Only if Spinal Tap's in it. Anyway, it says, our documentary will follow China across the country as she rediscovers herself with old friends, celebrities, and fans as she tries to begin her life again. So, and just to kind of give you everyone up to date in case you're not aware, China was a huge wrestler back in the late 90s, early 2000s. She probably we say she was the most successful female wrestler?
For the most part,
yeah.
You know.
I mean, as far as titles and things like that
she had her titles, and that was, you know, the big thing for her was she was kind of that transition, because we went through, like, the ditzy diva phase, and then we went into the actual wrestling women phase, and then she kind of bridged that gap, and then it went back into that 2000s, went back to the sexy divas. You know, she disappeared, and then Trish Stratus and all those ladies came in, and you know, but China she was a hell of an athlete, and, you know, despite all the man rumors and all that, I mean, she was a force, man. I mean,
yeah. Anyway, she was a big star. She was dating Triple H at the time. They broke up, and that's a whole nother thing. If you want to go online, you can certainly. I mean, there's. I think there's a Bible to it. There really is, about that whole story. What he said, she said. But anyway, ended up she left the company because he was with someone else. Stephanie McMahon, the boss's daughter. So she then went into reality shows. She started doing porn, and then she got tired of America. Well, America was tired of her long before then, but she got tired of America, and she went over to Japan. Ironic. Why she ended up in China. But anyways, I'm an idiot.
It writes itself, really.
Yeah. It does write itself.
China invades Japan. I could see that. And then just one typo in World War III. China
exactly.
overtakes. Yeah.
But she became a teacher, teaching English to Japanese students. So she really got into, like, working out again in yoga and got clean from alcohol, because apparently that was her big thing, was she was a huge drinker.
Okay.
And then that's where kind of the documentary takes place, is she's coming back to the U.S. and she's trying to reclaim her life, essentially. And if you are interested in such, the Kickstarter, for $500, she will write you a personal letter.
Aww.
For $1,000, you get a phone call, and it said you can talk about smoothies, yoga, or your dreams.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then
what if you have a dream that you were her, and she was you?
I don't know.
Is that going to cost extra?
You can ask her when you spend your $1,000.
$1,000 that's pretty rough. But
and then for $5,000, the top tier, she will visit you for lunch.
Right on.
Which is weird, because usually it has a whole bunch of stuff that says, you know, you got to be in LA, or you got to be in New York, or you got to pay for the ticket, or you got to come see her. But no, it says $5,000, she'll come to see you, which, that's really not that much. I mean, when you
think about it, if it's going to average
a donation,
a grand for airfare.
Yeah, so I mean,
but then is there a stipulate like you can't go to like McDonald's? It's got to be like an actual restaurant or a.
I don't know.
I wonder if there is stipulations attached. Like, oh yeah, let's hit up the friggin' 99-cent menu and I'm having McChickens with China.
I am.
Like, that's a podcast in itself.
I'm chicken nuggets with China. I'm gonna be the ass here. I bet she's done a lot more for a lot less.
Hey, you know,
It's true.
But
it's all about royalty payments.
yeah, I guess.
But a lot of these days, though, I mean, especially a lot of these fundraisers and stuff for a lot of these films, I mean, that's kind of becoming the norm. We're seeing that, you know, yeah, $5,000 come. You know, come meet face to face. I think it is a good way, you know, because you know there's enough fans out there, and you know we take that approach to fundraising quite a bit, where it's like, here, you know, do you know there's probably 10 dudes out there or more that have money that
I should say their goal is $10,000.
Yeah,
which that's one thing I kind of liked about it was $10,000 seems like a very reachable goal for this.
Yeah,
it's not we need $50,000. You know, $10,000 sounds like it's just enough to get her and the crew, you know, wherever they need to go.
Yeah, sounds obviously if it's going for that much, it's going to be pretty. I don't want to say short, but like reasonably small personal documentary.
Yeah,
obviously not like a 3-hour. Maybe it will be, but you know, just one of those things. They're just going to be running around just shooting
half
footage.
Hour, 45 minutes of.
Yeah.
Or it turns into a 3-hour. You know, who knows? You know, it depends on what kind of funding they get, I suppose. But
yeah,
but yeah, China.
And I guess we make jokes, but you know, it's always nice to see somebody turn their life around, and hopefully she finds what she's looking for when she's traveling across America.
Yeah, doing her thing. So well, cool. Yeah, good for China.
Next one we got is what's his name? John Bretherthal. Mikey. Look at this. Look at that smile.
John Bernthal has been signed on as the Punisher. And please, 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 for the love of God, do not let him be Southern. And do not just... So for those of you that are not aware of John Bernthal, he was Shane in The Walking Dead. Or, in case you guys missed, that'd be Shane from Walking Dead. Derpity derp, man, dang dang, in every other scene, and he's every time. That's all he knows how to do on film is run his head, and it's just like, dang on dang, man, got some bad guys searching in here, man, gotta take them out.
That'd make for a very interesting Punisher series.
They killed my family, man, dang on dang, and it just, I am so beyond worried. He looks the part, but yeah, I have my doubts. Needless to say, I was one of those. I was happy when he died in the show, and it had more so to do, I think, with John Bernthal than Shane the character, and that's just me. But I'm sorry, John. I appreciate the work you've done, but dang on dang, man.
Dang on dang.
But yeah, what do we know about Punisher? Is this going to be the Daredevil's Punisher, or is this going to be Punisher its own series?
Nope, it's going to be Daredevil. We know that he's that because Netflix also released the logo for the next season of Daredevil. Okay. It's got bullet holes in it.
Okay.
So I assume he's going to play a pretty big part in it.
Good deal.
Terrorizing Hell's Kitchen is what I read.
No, right.
There you go.
Yeah, bullets for bad guys.
Bullets for bad guys.
No,
he's got a lot to live up to with Fisk.
Right.
I can't remember the actor, but what a great
Vince D'Onofrio.
Vince D'Onofrio. What a great job he did.
Yeah, and that's the thing with something like this. It's like when you're bringing Punisher. You know, and Daredevil season 1, I mean, we've talked about it before. It kicked ass on many levels. I think it's going to keep rolling, but then it starts getting tough, and this is like we've talked a little bit before, and how when you start bringing in characters and you start crossing stories, and like in this case where, you know, is he going to be a 1-episode thing? Is he going to be a full season arc? You know, or a recurring, like, oh, they're finding all these dead guys. Oh, and then we find out it's Punisher. So a lot of questions to be answered there, but I think it's going to be I'm excited. Overall, I'm excited for Punisher to show up, and because we need that. We need Daredevil to see other vigilantes, and in this case, Punisher being a kill 'em all vigilante. He's not out there beating people up. He's just there blowing them up.
And he lends himself to the budget, should we say?
Yeah,
because he's not a huge flying guy. He's like Daredevil. He's
guns.
Yeah, feet stay on the ground.
Yep.
It's not overpowered. You don't have to worry about special effects too much. And the thing that's always cool about those two is that they can have a legitimate fight.
Yeah. If they keep the same fight choreography as they did for the first season Daredevil, and we get to see those two go at it, that's gonna be freaking awesome.
Yeah, that'd be quite exciting. And hopefully they'll. Well, as of right now, and going off of that, do we see the news as well that they dropped AKA from Jessica Jones? It's now pre-listed as just Marvel's Jessica Jones. So we should be seeing that before the end of the year. And
right on.
That one I'm excited for.
Yeah.
Because that's, I'm excited to see how they handle Luke Cage and how they'll handle Iron Fist and stuff like that. And I liked them a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah. Towards the end of the year, it's going to be me, and Jessica Jones. I think we're going to have a thing going on.
Yeah. Just don't tell no one. Yeah. Yes. So Punisher showing up on Daredevil.
Next thing we got is I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say Jessica Jones announced, and then what else? As of right now, Agent Carter was what are they saying? They're switching locations. Apparently, some shakeups in the cast over there. We'll have more news on that as it arrives. That's all we know now. The main actress, I think, as of now, 3 people. I don't know if it's some contract stuff going on or. It's all I was reading that was that they're changing locations, and no word yet on who is signed on for season 2 yet.
They pulling the Wonder Woman where she's gonna
possibly
get frozen and.
I think they'll leave Carter. They got to leave her alone. I don't. There's no reason to time jump with her.
And Steve visits her, doesn't he? One of the movies, was it Winter Soldier or was it Avengers 2 where Steve goes and he visits her when she's old?
That was in Winter Soldier, yep.
So it'd be kind of hard to time travel. I mean, they could still, but...
Yeah.
But...
Good stuff.
And then, kind of in the same vein, Hellboy 3. Ron Perlman wants it. He's telling everyone to hashtag Hellboy 3... because he wants to do the movie, obviously. Perlman, I looked it up because I was interested. He is 65 currently. But when he started Hellboy in the first one, it was back in 2004. That would make him 54 when that movie came out.
And you'd never know it. And it's forever endless.
Yeah, and...
timeless, rather. Yeah. That's it.
And you hear 65 and you think, no way. But then It's all pretty much a suit. I mean, it's all makeup.
It's all makeup.
He's covered up with a coat, and all the major movements have always been CGI for him. And that's kind of the way they portrayed that character, anyways. Is that he's in the comics? He's not, at least the way they draw him. He's not as big and hulking as he is in the movies.
Right.
Like in the movies, he's just like a thick beast,
right?
And in the comics he's big, but doesn't have that width to him.
Yeah, he's more kind of slouched over, and I was carrying the weight of his arm. These guys.
The weight of his arm. Like in the movies, it's more so he kind of
it's his power fist.
He's cotton up to his arm.
Yeah,
is what it seems like.
So I hope it happens. I think there's a good odds, and especially the way things are rolling right now. And right now, Dark Horse, you got nothing to lose. May as well go for it now. After losing Star Wars, I'd be looking for any route you can to make some money.
And the other ones have always been good. And, hopefully Del Toro, they can get him back to...
Well, now that he's not on Silent Hills and he's not, let's say, Pacific Rim 2 started yet. So, it's hard to say what he'll get accomplished.
Yeah, Perlman said he'll do what he can. So I guess as much pull as Ron Perlman has.
Hey, He's got, Sons of Anarchy, man, definitely did, although I wasn't a huge fan of the show, I mean, it definitely had its following.
He was great in that, by the way.
And you reach out to that audience that, if you reach out to them, they'll fund it.
Yeah.
Money's out there.
You can't reach them. There's always the Beauty and the Beast crowd.
That's right.
Vincent.
Yeah, isn't that his name?
I believe
something. I shouldn't know. I shouldn't know that offhand, but Vincent's ringing a bell.
You two are in a very lonely club.
Okay, Corky.
You just go back to your Corky. Man.
Kind of other news I just think is a little bit funny. Fox pulled both the previous Fantastic Four movies from digital download.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want you to remember them.
Yeah.
Not that we needed help forgetting them.
Yeah.
But and I think that's weird.
I think right now, everything with Fox and Marvel is just such a freaking mess that... I mean, it's like Marvel. Marvel has obviously said, okay, Fox, do what you want. We want nothing to do with it. So they sacrificed the comic. They sacrificed X-Men. They just let all this stuff go, and it's just like, oh, Days of Future Past? That has nothing to do with X-Men. That has not, as far as Marvel was concerned.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, never mind. We're not even going to do a single movie cover. We're not going to do any type of advertisement in any of the comics. And now here they are doing this same garbage. Like, that Fox is going to drop, you get rid of the old movies because, we want this reboot to be refreshing and brand new. And it's like, well...
Because part of me, too, it's like... even though everyone hates and makes fun of Batman and Robin, when the new Batman movie is coming out on all the movie channels, you always see all the previous Batman movies. Doesn't matter. Kind of, I think you figured it'd be the same for the Fantastic Four. Even though it's not that good, people are still like, oh, that interests me. Well, what was the old one like? And you still get new people. And I don't see and as much as we don't like those movies, I don't think that they're terrible.
Right.
No.
The biggest problem in the first one is that there's not a lot of superhero-ness to it. I mean, it's kind of just them.
He's a bad guy.
It's more of a family drama than it is a superhero movie.
Yeah,
and the second one is kind of closer to the
more comic.
What it should have been.
Yeah. Minus Galactus.
Galactus. The Cloud Galactus.
Yeah.
Scary.
An evil cloud.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But in their defense, how do you do Galactus in a real world?
Personally, I just wanted to see like a silhouette out in space, or even like you could have had a shadow of a hand like coming over Earth. I think that they would have never. Personally, I think you could have gotten away with Galactus without ever even showing them.
Well, they could even just try to explain away the kind of how they did in the comics too. Is what I read too. Is that Galactus doesn't look like that, actually. He looks like however the first person who sees him perceives him.
Right.
Sort of like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
However Reed Richards perceives Galactus, that's how he looks to everybody on Earth now. So.
Yeah.
And they got away. They're getting away with Thanos. Thanos is a weird-looking character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So...
we're excited for that. Not much else on the... Because right on the film docket, because now, I mean, we have all our announcements, and we've talked time and time before about all these movies are slated to come out. Like Fantastic Four is on pace for next year.
This year, isn't it?
Or this year.
Yeah, this year, yep.
Is that August?
End of summer.
Yeah.
So August or September. And then going forward, and then they just announced that, the updated schedule, the next 6 years or whatever. And it's like, I've ranted about that before. I mean, just give it up. Just really, let me get through tonight and tomorrow. What am I doing in 2027? I don't know. And I don't need, Fantastic Four 5, part 5 will be out by then. Assuming they get their licensing rights taken care of.
Other news. This one's just kind of a little throwaway, but Sam Jones, the guy who was Flash Gordon, they're having a documentary about him made. It's called Life After Flash.
Okay. Which there wasn't much of.
Which I guess, now we got to rename the documentary that we were going to make about you after the Flash show was over. But yeah, it's just about him and interacting with fans, apparently.
Yeah.
But then they said they're looking to do a Kickstarter. So another Kickstarter documentary.
Yeah, that seems to be the way to go for all these aspiring.
Especially documentaries, because really you don't need that much money.
No, and it's mainly they need distribution and.
Well, then you appeal to just the core audience too. You know, it's direct, and it's you're not going through a company that says, "Well, is this going to sell?" You know, so
you got to do this and you got to do that.
Yeah, just straight.
So yeah, we have him. What else was going on?
Let's talk comics.
Yeah,
comics. All new.
We can tie in here.
All different.
All different. Wolverine is coming. That being said, though, last note on movies, Bryan Singer's been teasing a lot of Apocalypse stuff. We saw a potential mohawked, a very black and white mohawked Storm.
Awesome.
He released some set pictures today of the mansion and some of the other, little hints at this next one, and I'm excited for it.
Was it more than a chair? Because last time it was a chair.
Greetings from the set. So,
there's gonna be a chair in the movie. Excellent.
I
didn't see that coming.
I heard that scene actually got cut. So
it's gonna be the chair cut that's coming out a year after.
They're gonna release it on Blu-ray. The chair cut. It's gonna be awesome.
With over a minute extra of chair footage.
Nice. That being said, isn't the Rogue cut?
That's coming out this month or next month.
Should be soon.
I have it pre-ordered, so.
Okay, yeah, we'll do a review on that one, of course. And for those of you unaware, Days of Future Past, Rogue cut an additional 45 minutes approximate.
I think something like that, yeah.
It's supposed to have
a whole bunch of stuff added back in.
And I'm excited for that one. I held off on buying it. I'll get the extended, and I had some gripes with that movie, but in this case, anytime you can get an extended edition and it's a legitimate extended edition, that's the kind of stuff I like to go for. No, none of this 2 extra deleted scenes of somebody spitting out coffee on the set.
It includes the original cut as well, on the Blu-ray. And from what I've read, Kyle, you'll be familiar with this. I think it's the actual director's cut, not just an extended edition. Like Mallrats, the Blu-ray.
Jerks.
They just took a whole bunch of deleted
terrible
scenes.
Cut of the movie.
They just threw them into the movie. They threw them in chronological order, but I'm pretty sure Kevin Smith would not approve of that because it's just awful.
It had nothing to do with
terrible.
An opening that's 13 minutes long has nothing to do with anything else. Director's cut's the way to go, not extended cuts.
Yes. Suicide Squad. The whole deal about them now. DC officially announcing that it is targeted towards adults. What did you guys think about that announcement?
Good.
Was this kind of one of those no shit?
Yeah.
Suicide. If anybody under 13 is buying Suicide Squad, then
first of all, find somebody buying Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Then we got to determine their age.
Yeah. We'll keep an eye out. It does sell pretty good. It sells out here. But now after this whole Convergence thing, everything's been on hiatus for 2-3 months. So we'll see if fans still care once that new issue hits. And
it's all about Harley. I'm going to say right now, it doesn't matter. It's all about Harley.
So yeah. Good old Margot Robbie. I'm sure we'll have statues of her by Christmas.
Yep.
And, she is looking cute. She's looking good in those boy shorts. So
I think I can legitimately say too, this is the first week since they announced the movie I haven't seen any leaked footage of it.
They had IGN has been notorious. They'll run an article, and not calling you out, IGN, but we're calling you out. Is that
not pointing fingers, but we're looking in your direction.
Yeah. Because they'll post an article about how, is there too much footage of Suicide Squad? Read our article with exclusive pictures from Suicide Squad. And it's it is what it is. They showed, was this last picture now, is Will Smith in full-on gear. And of course...
Last one I saw him was rappelling down a building or something.
Yeah, and then this one showed him all decked out with the full mask and the one-eyed mask and his guns and stuff. And I'm excited there, but again, after like we talked about in the last podcast on how, at this point there's nothing left for imagination. And I'm still standing on this. I still believe they're filming a completely different movie somewhere else, and this is all just
honestly
may as well be. You know, where it's just like, oh, here, go out and, okay, Will, why don't you go out, let him take some pictures, you know, pretend you're on it. We'll send a cameraman and a gaffer or somebody out there, and we'll,
that'd be genius.
Put a crowd around him.
That's
you know,
the way
and
to
people
do
are
it.
like, oh my God, it's him filming for the movie. And it could just be him, he's just walking down a sound stage, like, meanwhile the movie's actually done and just waiting for distribution. But yes, going into comics, that was the big Wolverine announcement.
Yeah, that it's X-23.
Yeah, not
Man
Wolverine.
Logan.
Yes, and I'm excited, but at the same time, I guess I'm one of those guys that by throwing somebody's costume on, you know, the Marvel's kind of taking this approach now that all their characters are all just titles handled, you know, like we saw with Thor, and like we said, and now we're seeing with Wolverine, and how, you know, X-23, that's X-23.
Yeah.
Because she's wearing a blue and yellow costume does not make her Wolverine.
No,
She's X-23 in a new costume. And
cosplayer.
yeah, it's
yeah.
And then, well, I don't know. I'm excited.
I'd be okay with it if they named the book Sexy Wolverine.
There you go. Sex-23. Yeah.
And the cover price was like $59.99.
There you go.
Just so it was in line with like Halloween costumes.
May as well, you know.
Sexy Wolverine.
Yeah. No, make it happen.
Sexy Hulk.
No, and right now,
Sexy Captain America. Sexy everything.
yeah, this Halloween is going to be huge. Sexy Iron Man.
Sexy
I'm all for it.
I think it'd be the incredibly sexy and confusing Iron Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got man in his title, so
that could work. Yeah. Yeah, with that going on, of course, all the big news right now in Marvel, it's all about Secret Wars. Should touch on that, all the delays. We posted an article earlier today on the on our page, and weeks and weeks behind on Secret Wars. And this could, we'll see how it affects people. I know I had a handful of confused customers last week, and there'll be disappointments tomorrow as well, that, you know, everything's pushed back, July, August, you know. But then part of me, it's just like, Marvel wants to ride this out. They want to ride Secret Wars through the end of the year. And
really,
I mean, right now, I mean, everything's slated to be, you know, 4-parter, 6-parter. There's a good majority of them that don't say limited series on them. You know, like we're seeing Old Man Logan and things like that. Although that might be, and I could be way off, but I think that might be a limited. But trying to think of some of the other ones like Battle World and Weird World and stuff like that. They don't show them listed as, you know, of anything. So that could just be the new Marvel Universe is all Secret World, and we'll see what happens. You know?
Yeah. Not a friendly time to jump into Marvel Comics.
No, not at all. Yeah. Not at all. And this is something that I was kind of legitimately worried about, you know, not just as a retailer, but as a fan, because now it's summer. This is when you want to bring in kids and you want to bring in, you know, new readers. And not specifically kids, but it would be nice to get the young readers in. But you want new readers. It's summertime. You know, ideal scenario is, you know, somebody comes in and grabs 3-4 books, and it's like, oh, hey, you know, just looking for something to read, something to sit on the porch and drink my lemonade, and, you know, however they do it. I don't do that, but, you know, sit on your porch, read comics.
Tweeting with their hashtags and their YouTubes and their all that crap.
Facebooks, it's MySpace business.
Goddamn kids.
But yeah, it's a lot of books. I mean, 44, 48 titles. If that doesn't say, you know, don't buy me. I don't like. I mean,
well, and here's kind of thing is I'll compliment DC on like the last Forever Evil event they did. It's like 1 of 7.
Yeah.
Like then they said, okay, this is, even though that I would argue that wasn't the most interesting thing going on during that event, you know, and that other books have stuff going on. But anyways, it was like 1 of 7. We got, you know, when it's going to happen, and it didn't necessarily affect everybody's timeline, excuse me. That's how I want events. If you want a month of everybody doing the same thing, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
But
I
don't want to stop everything. I hate the fact that they think that they need to stop everything and make everything go.
And as we saw, I mean, with overall, and you guys can chime in, but Convergence was a freaking disaster. And there's other people out there that are definitely going to disagree with me, but I got a whole freaking box full of Convergence titles for 50 cents that people could care less about. And that whole thing, that was 2 months of just destroyed sales of DC because everybody just, you know, like I'd posted in other articles on how people just wanted their specific titles. And then, of course, with Convergence, that whole thing was, well, we can touch on that if you don't mind me ranting for a minute. That was the biggest slap to the face from DC I think I've ever... I don't know if I can't even put words to it because it was truly one of those things. And, you know, we'll slap up the spoiler buzzer or whatever. But
the rant buzzer.
It's just your but yeah, it ends with
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
It's like, Brainiac saying, "I'm sorry, let me hit the reset button. You guys go back home."
They devalued the entire thing with that. And I didn't even read that line. I didn't read that line when I read that and found that out online. I was kind of like, why then?
This 2 months, this is supposed to be this huge event. This is how we're going to set up the new DC universe and all this. And it's like, you're just going to say, oh, never mind.
Yep.
And part of me really, really believes, and I'm sure they'll deny it, you know, if we prod them a little bit, but my guess is they hit like issue 2, issue 3 and looked at sales, and they legitimately went through the feedback and said, oh, fans did not
got cold feet about it.
I think they did. I really, because it was such a huge event, and for them to just let it go on that end. And the only new book that's coming out of this whole thing is Earth 2 Society 1, I believe it's called, and that's all. That is the only... All Convergence was a way to wrap up World... It was to get rid of Earth 2, which wasn't selling that well, and to get rid of World's End, which wasn't selling that well. And it blew them out, and they took 65 issues so they could wrap that story up. It was an
incredibly expensive way to cancel...
Yeah, it was.
One book.
You know, and then like they said, it's like, oh, it's our way to set up... Because, I mean, like this week, and we'll talk about in our picks in a little bit, it's like we do have new titles. We do have some new number ones, none of which have anything to do with Convergence. Justice League 41, huge story, big dark side story, has nothing, absolutely nothing. And the fact that every book, this week actually, DC, or last week a few trickled out, this week is the first week where books are now back on track, back to their normal release schedule, and none of it, not a single, to my knowledge anyways, and please chime in, correct me if I'm wrong, nothing has absolutely anything to do with Convergence. Not even like, oh man, my head hurts, did something weird happen? Or, oh, Earth 2 just showed up in the atmosphere again. Or, you know, none of that.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, oh, just back to normal. You know, we get a Constantine and we get a Dr. Fate. I'm excited to get a Dr. Fate comic, but that has nothing to do with Convergence. You know, and it did nothing. It did absolutely nothing to set up the future of DC Comics. And Secret War right now, I don't know.
I don't think Secret War will fail as epically as I think
Secret Wars is already selling much better, and it's already...
Well, and here's what I don't get about Convergence is, let's take a look at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, the one that came out in 2014. Did okay. Did well enough because, you know, the brand is hot and any movie they slapped out there was gonna make money.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and you can debate all day about what you hated and everything of it. You can retool that movie, which is what they're doing, which I think is smart. You know, they're changing it up. They're getting new actors and actresses, kind of refresh it, but they're not abandoning it. Because here's the thing is, you've already taken... essentially the bullet for your decisions for that first movie.
Yeah.
And people accept that as a standard. Same thing with the New 52. They took that New 52 bullet. People have accepted this new universe as a standard. Why are you messing around with that and saying, well, we could bring it all back, you know, to this, and we could do it with this, and then we're changing it again.
Yeah.
You know, so now you're setting yourself up essentially to get shot again, and for what?
Yeah,
for nothing.
For nothing. And then this is their way, you know, and especially when things are rolling, or like we look with this week's release, we have Batman 41, which is slated to, it should be a pretty big issue, because this is the, you know, the new chapter in the Batman series, and again, had nothing to do with Convergence.
And I think I've said this before, but I truly believe Convergence should have been like Batman Earth 1.
Yeah,
it's, you know, it's a title all of itself, and it's long enough. 2 issues is not long enough to tell a good story.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wrong. You can tell a good story, but a vast majority of it, usually we've been set to a standard of about 6 issues.
Yeah.
You know, for a story arc. And that for the trades it works great. You can go 12 if you want, but Convergence is a universe that should have been played with like in trade paperback, hardcover book.
Yeah. Or even personally, I think Convergence should have replaced, after Future's End was done and after Batman Eternal and World's End Tank, they could have made Convergence a weekly title, rather than, you know, because when you think about all the issues that they released, I mean, that was 52, I mean, what was it, 40 some titles? 2 issues, there you go, you have 80 weeks.
Yeah.
You have a 2-year long run event.
There you go.
Which could have potentially, you know, which I know that wasn't their intention, but in this case, after the fact, knowing that had no effect whatsoever on the universe, it could have been just, I'm with you, it could have just been its own.
What did people want to see? I think we said this before, but I don't know if this part has been aired yet, so I'll just say it again anyways. People missed the pre-New 52 Batman universe. People missed the pre-New 52 Superman. I don't know necessarily his universe, but they missed the old Superman with all his stuff. Those are really the only 2 that people had a real connection with.
Right.
You can argue other people
like
that they
Flash
liked. Flash and actually I'd argue Flash, would be your third. You know, because of Wally West and so much stuff that they've changed since. But you know, really, like you said, a new book every time. So let's go back and let's play with Flash, and if people like it, we can keep the Flash Convergence book going. People like the old Superman, we can keep Superman Convergence going. People like old Batman, we can keep old Convergence Batman going.
And just like we're seeing with like Injustice and some of these other ones, that's like they've proven that they can create a new, or like we're seeing with Earth 2 Society 1 now, where it's like, here, this is its own thing, it's on its own timeline, roll with it. And I definitely, I think it was a bit overkill, and it was definitely something that we did not need right now. And I think Marvel, at least that now we're seeing with Secret Wars stuff, it seems like they have a bit more, a bit more of a game plan in mind.
Yeah.
Where we're going to see a ton of new titles come out of this. But I think, you know, 3 months from now, 4 months from now, and just looking at like the June previews of what's coming in August and September, it's like, okay, you know, they're going to roll with their old man Logan, and, you know, this is their way to get a new X-Men out there, and this is their way of kind of...
Well, big thing, too, is Marvel never left their continuity.
Yep.
Right.
Marvel never totally hit the reset button.
Yeah.
They gave us a soft reboot with that all-new stuff, but they never totally threw everything out. So...
You know, and I think like right now, I mean, we're already seeing it like with Spider-Man, Renew Your Vows.
Yeah.
You know, that's been selling really well, and I think people are all for it, and you know, that I have a feeling will become...
I do like that idea of our grown-up Peter Parker, and let Miles Morales be our young Spider-Man. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, keep that rolling, and I guess my biggest gripe with Marvel right now is now the talks of like with Ultimate Universe and stuff, and like what happened with Miles Morales, and that was something that personally, like, that was a huge FU from Marvel, in my opinion, because after like the whole Cataclysm event, and like when we opened the store, we were right on the tail end of Cataclysm. You know, and that was supposed to be the end of the Ultimates universe. Every solicitation, every single piece of literature you read said Cataclysm is the end of the Ultimate universe. And then Miles Morales, all new Ultimate Spider-Man, and it's like, no. No, you know, if you tell us your world is done and you're closing that chapter, close the frickin' chapter.
You do not understand the power of the dollar.
Oh, yarg.
Yarg.
Yeah, Secret Wars.
Secret Wars.
Man. So what do you guys, have you been reading anything? Did you read any?
I read the first issue of Fight Club 2. Finally.
All right.
Pretty awesome. Cool to see the narrator back and how things have been going for him since the end of Fight Club. If you read the book, it's a continuation of the book, not of the movie, but the movie is better.
No.
Just that's really cool to see. He's running the world basically.
Still.
Yeah. He falls asleep once a week, and Tyler Durden takes over. And he goes makes some decisions. He's telling who needs, like, making decisions, who needs to get assassinated and all that stuff. Like, Tyler Durden's still running the world.
Yeah.
Like, in its entirety. He's married to Marla. They have a kid. I don't know. It's kind of one of those cool things.
Should we throw up a spoiler on this one and go into that a little bit? And
we probably could, yeah.
Because that was, Kyle, did you read?
No.
Okay.
I can barely listen.
Oh. So in this, just like you said, 10 years later, and I like the fact because with Durden, the fact that it's like, yep, he never went away. Yep. Marla's been sabotaging him the whole time, feeding him the wrong meds, replacing him with sugar. And so to him, he's just like, yeah, he's back in his mopey self, like, just, he's happy to do his day-to-day. He's got a wife and a kid. And then here, between Marla and then his therapist.
Yep.
And it is his therapist who is bringing out Tyler Durden every week in their sessions. And I forget where's the line. He's like 3 times a month. I get to come out and play. And it's his therapist, like, it's like, oh, you know, we're here to help you, and you're doing such a great job. Well, and it's actually the therapist hypnotizing him and bringing Tyler Durden out. And it's like, all right, boss, we got work to do. We got 2 hours.
Yep.
What can we get done today?
It's insane.
And I thought that was like a really cool deal. It's sad. It's overall it's really sad to know that this whole time that's the only reason Marla is still hanging around is because she wants the nights with Tyler.
Yep.
And
well, I heard a couple of reviews, and isn't she's pretty damaged at this point? Isn't that the idea? Is
and
that she's doing the same thing. She's still looking for chaos in her world.
Yep. She's still going to her meeting. She shows up in this issue. I thought was a nice thing. She's at a display at Progeria. Progeria thing, you know, and all these little kids and little shrivel kids, and it's like, what's this meeting for or whatever? Advanced whatever Progeria. Okay, I have that.
I have that
there's that kid like, I'm 9, you know, and here's her chain smoking away in this meeting, and I was happy to read it. Palahniuk, I think, has accepted the medium too, and I think that's what's going to sell that book. And I mean, we sold out just about right away. And the fact that when you have the author of the book that says, "I want in on the comic," and he's the driving force behind it, that's what's going to keep that thing selling.
Well, and that thing is a cult too. I mean, Fight Club. It's not one of those things where it's not the hugest. Not the huge amount of population loves it, but the people who love it are diehard for it. You know, just
absolutely, and that's the big thing too. Like reading this, like I'm a big Palahniuk fan. I read a lot of his books. He's great at hiding information, I guess. Like I've been reading. I'm not a big normal book reader. I've been reading Pygmy for about like a year and a half now. I'm on chapter 13. It's about halfway through the book. But like every chapter's got like information omitted because it's supposed to be written from the point of view of like a spy, and he does it in his other books too. The way he words things, he kind of switches things around, and then everything goes to crap about 2/3 of the way through the book, and that's when it really hooks you. But just the way the paneling is set up, and then you see like pills on some of the pages and rose petals on other pages, it covers up some of the picture and just makes you want more, and it's awesome to see. And the fact that he just throws you into the world too, like right away. There's no intro, like, oh, this is a quick recap. I mean, that was kind of like what the Free Comic Book Day issue was. It was a quick recap of the end of Fight Club, but Fight Club 2 #1 just throws you in right away, like, boom, we're going. This is life.
10 years later.
Yep.
Fight Club 2. Kyle, what have you been reading?
Not much because of Convergence. I've been reading Death in the Family.
Okay.
I will announce it here. I am planning a new video series on Batman books. There you go, Internet. There's your exclusive. See, we do something different with that, but kind of cool and fun to go back to the way they wrote Batman in the 80s, which is, you know, a little Adam Westy, but it's all, I love the internal dialogue when he's talking to himself.
There's a lot of the 80s internal dialogue, man. Like, is he crazy? No, he's just
the soot let on the boots is, you know, derivative of this part of Gotham City, and you know, this and this. The Joker had a half hour to come from here to here, and, blah, blah, blah. And we got a Joker with like regular henchmen, like.
Yep.
I think it was, and they've been doing it, you know, forever. But ever since Arkham City games, the Arkham games, now all the villains have to have themed thugs.
Yeah. So
like your Joker thugs have to look like clowns and stuff like that, and they've been doing that in the comics too. But this is gangster Joker. Like his thugs are just gangsters. You know, that's kind of cool to see. Boss, you know, and that's essentially what it was. You know, he's just a mob boss at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So very cool read, fun to go down memory lane.
Yeah.
I bought it at Juke Joint Comics.
Wink. Yeah, I think it's Dead in the Family, and then I don't know, 80s Batman. I think for a lot of readers, you know, and we'll never be able to relive that, and we'll never be able to, you know, and that, I think that's one of those things. It's a hard pill to swallow for many comic readers and fans. And right now I'm seeing, well, a lot of this relates, and we'll have plenty of Star Wars chats in the future, but I think right now we are definitely seeing that in comics. And I've brought it up before on how, you know, how it's like, oh man, it's not like it was in the 80s. Well, guess what? It's not the 80s.
Yeah.
It's 30 years later, and I'm sorry, we will never get that style of book again, and I wish we could, but it's just like our 90s X-Men and our, you know, stuff like that, stuff that we grew up on, and those of us that are, you know, late 20s, early 30s, young 40s, it's like those books are now written for 40-year-olds. You know, and you don't want to think that way, like, oh no, they're comics. But it's like, that's true. That is your prime audience. You know, let's say your average comic book reader is 33 years old and has been reading since the mid 80s.
Yeah.
And that's I mean, it's a tough audience. I mean, it's guys like us, and it's guys that are vocal about their opinions, and you know, these companies, I mean, I know they're doing what they can to kind of reach out to that audience, but you know, nothing will ever.
Well, here's kind of my thing. Why do you want to go back?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got those old books and trades, and you can reread them if you want to, but we've been there and we've done that. I mean, you do it too much and it's oversaturation. How many Police Academy movies do you need, you know?
18.
18, apparently.
Yeah.
But
I wanted to throw in, as we talk about you know, being picky readers, and it's never mind. I was gonna relay something I had read here on a site, and then now it wants me to sign up for a weekly newsletter, and it won't let me sign out because when I click on close, it wants to subscribe me.
That's the suck.
So I can't get back to my article.
Well, I want to toss this in real quick too.
Damn you, internet.
It's funny because, you know, like 80s Batman, you know, we all loved and everything, but you never hear anything about 90s Batman, and I think that's for good reason. Like, I look at Batman comics from the 90s, and like some of them are like okay, but for the most part, it's just like,
oh, we got the Bane stuff alright.
The Bane stuff was alright, but like Contagion and like just No Man's Land was. I mean, most of it's just kind of like.
It was there.
It's just like
and it was Batman selling Batman, and then, but hey, you know what? We got Catwoman out of the deal. We got Jim
Balent.
Balent. I screw up his name. The guy who does Tarot now.
Okay.
But when he was the one that ultra sexified Catwoman, and I think I still have like 800 copies of number 1 and 2 buried in here somewhere. But it's like that we have that 90s was like this the sexy Batman world. That's when Poison Ivy, like in my opinion, that's when she started. You know, her and Catwoman became like sexy siren types. You know, and Vicky Vale was, you know, and that the 90s saw that turn where it was sexy and it was competing. Well, they had to, at the time when Marvel and then we had all the new blood coming up, you know, Layfield and all these other and Lee and these guys that knew how to draw badass women and men, and that definitely changed the focus of a lot of readers, and I think it will. I think we'll be able to revisit, or we see Marvel right now. We have X-Men 92 coming out.
Yeah,
X-Force 92. You know, trying to throw back on. Let's see.
I always feel like comics is ahead of the times, and I feel like around 91, 92, all the comic book characters discovered CrossFit.
Yes.
And they started doing it nonstop.
Abs. It was 8-pack abs.
Yep.
And those whatever muscles under the under the rib muscle.
Yeah.
Like
that don't really exist.
Yeah. Like there's not a sit up you can do. That's
biceps upon biceps upon biceps.
Yeah. Everybody's
pouches and swords and
the Scott Steiner look.
I always liked the quadricep. Characters. Layfield was
all the more to tear with, my dear.
Yeah. But yeah, it you know, and the 90s though, as a whole, I think was a fun time, and that was the last time we saw, or now we're getting back to it. But the 90s, it was the best thing in the history, and it was the worst. It was the double-edged sword because we saw it was the death of Superman, and it was the time when comic shops were huge. Comics were in every grocery store and drugstore, and it's like, oh my God, you got to read a comic book. And if you didn't read one, every kid in school had at least one or two in their backpack. And then like 95, 96 hit.
Crash.
And I was like, oh. Because then I think it was one of those weird things where all of a sudden the collectors
it was a perfect storm.
Yeah.
Kind of like the sports card market was.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
But we, you know, because I feel like I was kind of the prime target of that age for X-Men, like especially the cartoon series and stuff like that. Yeah. I was, you know, around 10, 11, 12, somewhere around there. And I just got to be 13 and 14 and, you know, girls, because they ruin everything. Yeah. You know, you get more interested in other things, not just girls, but I mean other things, and you kind of forget about stuff like that. So I think everybody who they were banking on to ride that wave kind of got interested in other things. And then there were so many people who were buying to sit on it and then to sell. Yeah, it was the speculators and the collectors are and a lot to blame. How could you not think that? Like, how does that sound like a solid investment to you? You're like, oh, well, they're gonna kill Superman. I better go get my issue right now. And then you know, but 3 million. Right, everybody's gonna have it. Yeah. And then, but 10 years from now.
That's the thing of it, though. Yeah, I mean, that's what, you know, people don't realize is like that's what they act. You know, I remember when Heath Ledger died, you know, and like the price of Joker toys online went through the roof, and they never realized, wait a minute, their toys.
They have nothing to do with Heath Ledger.
It's just, that's, and then they just went back from after like 2 months, you know, and it was fine, and nobody cared, and it's just a sad time in my memory now, you know, like $800 for this action figure. Oh, great! I'll go down to Target and buy one of them for $4. You know, that's fine. I'm cool with that. Yeah, whatever.
Buy 3 of them. Yeah. It was a fun time, and then especially with the '90s stuff. You know, and then we moved into 2000s. That was just kind of a wasteland, with the exception of, you know, Walking Dead, and we had Invincible. Image held in there.
Did you get that wasteland? Walking Dead. I caught it.
Yeah. That's. But yeah, it was the beginning, and it was.
Yeah, comics didn't really ramp up till about halfway through the 2000s.
Again, yeah.
You know, 2005, 2006, and both companies did. I mean, DC, and then Marvel started getting a lot more interesting and things. So,
Ultimate Spider-Man came out right around that time too. That was one of the first trades I started buying. Like every time there was a new one to come out.
Here's kind of a crazy thing to think of too: is that 9/11 happened, and that and yet we don't really remember too much from the Marvel Universe about 9/11. Because I know they referenced it and they talked about it because Marvel happens in the real world, so Marvel happened around New York.
And
I think that's kind of
the tributes. There's the Spider-Man, the Fallen tributes,
and they have them.
Like that.
But how much do we remember that?
Yeah,
I mean,
so there's some of those covers, some of those 9/11 covers, people,
which were great.
Yeah, which people go for. But yeah, as far as the stories and stuff,
nothing.
A lot of that. I mean, obviously, and I'll save a rant for another time. I mean, the whole 9/11 thing, it changed industries, and I was one of those that. I mean, it was what it was. I don't think it needed to be that way, and I won't go off on any tangent there. But there's a lot of things that
www.mikesthoughtbunker.com.
Hey, there's some stuff there. And there's we won't go into the conspiracies and all that fun stuff, but the way it affected comics.
Yeah.
And at the time, 2001, and it tanked. I hate to use the term crashed the industry, but it did. And because everybody all of a sudden, it was like, comic books, video games, movies, anything, all of a sudden we became this scared state, and we became, where it was like, oh my god, a comic book, we gotta fight terrorists, we can't fight Hydra anymore. It was like this weird, it's like, oh, hold on, we can't fight terrorists in the comics, we need to fight time. Oh, we need to fight. We need to fight space monsters again because this is too close to home, and everybody just peeled away from it. And part of me says I understand, but then the other part of me is like, of all industries that I wish would have kept rolling, I wish comics would have been able to. And granted, obviously, I mean, they were, they're based in New York and things like that. That definitely had effects, but. Story-wise and things like that, and even movies where all of a sudden it was like, oh, God forbid you. What, we have a movie with an explosion in it? Oh, cancel.
I'm still a little bit upset to this day that none of my DVDs or Blu-rays of the Spider-Man movie have the original teaser on there with the web between the trade towers. Like I know it's like it was a touchy subject, but like...
That was a great
at the same
poster.
time, exactly. At the same time, like, can we get past that so I can have that on the Blu-ray now, please? Like, I just want that in my collection because I'm a collector.
I know your family went through a lot of trouble, but Turnus wants his scene on his Blu-ray.
Well, then they started talking too. Like, what was the movie that came out then? I don't know. It's some Roland Emmerich movie. There was giant waves and like, oh, we can't have it topple any buildings. And wasn't that or not natural disaster or whatever?
The Day After Tomorrow.
Day After Tomorrow.
Day After Tomorrow.
Yep. And they're like, we can't have it topple buildings. So
we have to have it freeze everything.
It's water. But
it's water.
Yeah.
I'll also say that for another time.
And that's I mean, people were kind of.
That's actually something we'll make a note here for a future discussion on
how 9/11 affected.
Well, not even just 9/11, but how when real world derails the fiction world.
Because a really interesting concept is World War II made that industry explode.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And we wanted to believe in Superman.
Yep.
And then 9/11 happened, and then we lost.
Yeah.
And one could say we shifted to a more admirable one, which we started seeing police and firefighters and stuff as heroes, as people look up to. But that's kind of a weird dynamic that we
here we are today
shifted, and now
that's Marvel Comics. If in DC, if you can start writing some good happy cop stories, that might help things a little bit.
Happy cop, a
little bit,
just a little bit. I mean, if there's ever a time right now where NYPD could use Spider-Man's help.
John Stewart loses his power ring and has to go back on patrol.
Yeah.
With Guy Gardner.
Yeah.
And they could start that new dynamic.
And Gardner gets shot.
No, why?
Because nobody likes Gardner.
Guy Gardner redeemed himself in Red Lantern. But you know that if you read a Green Lantern book.
I thought that they had wiped that from the slate. Like
they did not.
Oh.
He's got a tattoo on his back now that says "Property of Brainiac," but it all happened.
Yeah. But we can touch on that in the future. When that's because that definitely changed some stuff. Man, what else we got?
What was it?
You're in
something
the,
to Han Solo, right? Like.
Oh yeah. Other comic news.
Han, not so solo anymore.
Not so solo anymore. Right here, number 6, and we threw that in the picks not too long ago. But yeah, Han Solo has a wife.
Flipping married.
He's married.
What the F?
You know, but at this point in time, nothing's happened. At this point in time, Luke and Leia still haven't figured it out. And his lady is, we'll call her Sana, S-A-N-A, Sana. I know you read all about it on the interwebs and stuff already, but you know, here's my guess, and maybe this is just me overreaching, right? They just so happened to pair this with the preview for Lando #1. Ooh. I think this is Lando's ex-wife.
You think he took more than the Millennium Falcon from Lando?
I think so. I think that's what's got to happen.
Pull that back up. Yeah. Okay, so I didn't see the feet, and all I saw was Lando going like this. So I was like, Lando's ready to show the full Monty.
Yeah.
He busted out his Colt 45.
That's right.
Getting a little woozy.
But that's my theory as of now. I think I'll throw my dollar on the table. I think it's either like Lando's sister or his like former girlfriend or former wife. And
that wouldn't surprise me actually.
That's
fitting for
that's like, very fitting.
And so hey, if we get it right, Disney, royalty. If you throw that in a few.
Snapping lessons.
Yeah.
Be bad at snapping.
Well, there's some people I read too online.
Maybe Mountain Dew can sponsor us too.
Yes.
I'm just gonna throw it in.
Are theorizing that the main character that we see in the previews for Force Awakens is related to Han Solo because of the skin color.
Yeah.
I don't see it honestly.
No. I was reading that too for the Stormtrooper. And he's going to be his own dude.
Yep.
I think the girl that we're seeing is that's going to be Luke's daughter.
I kind of feel that would almost lessen him.
Yeah.
If he was Han Solo's kid.
Right.
You know, I think he's worth more if he's just his own person.
Yeah.
But anyway, as you were saying,
I think we still got 5-6 months to debate, and 6 months and 9 days.
And no frickin' leaked photos from the set, so that's
not
nice.
yet.
Amazing.
Wait until November gets here. Yeah, I don't have the whole movie already. But yeah, that was the big deal. Star Wars #6. First trade's due out soon. Aaron and Cassidy, like I brought up in the picks. I mean, it is a top seller right now. It is tearing things apart, and personally, I'm all for it. I think, and this goes back on here, who's your target audience? Mm-hmm. And for those of us that have been Star Wars for life, where, cool. I think it adds a nice little dynamic to them, where it's just like, hey, and that's where I'm thinking it's got to be some. To me, it reminded me a lot of, I believe, I forget who her character was, but Christina Hendricks in Firefly, and that was. Was it Jane's wife or was it Mal's wife? It was Mal's wife.
Mal's wife, yep.
Yeah. And that's totally what I got from this vibe. Like, oh yeah, I forgot we got married one night, didn't we? Like, I don't think there's any, like, real relationship here or, it could be Han out doing his thing and, this is a wife from...
He is a scoundrel.
Yeah. He's Han Solo.
That rotten scoundrel. Yeah.
Nerf herder.
Yeah, scruffy nerf herder. Man. Yeah, and what else in Star Wars news? The Celebration of Anaheim a little bit ago, huge. Got some cool product coming out there. September is going to be absolutely ridiculous for Star Wars product. Be prepared. I mean, I'm already dreading it. Although at this point, this is episode 7, I'd like to think, well, I don't know if I can go on record, but I'll say that I might be a little Star Wars'd out.
Yeah.
For the moment, give me a month, but let me save up some dollars again. But it's like right now, I mean, Force Awakens, I'm really excited for it. I'm sure I'll pick up a Trooper. I'm sure. I mean, once the action figures get announced, but depending on, I don't want another Power of the Force. I don't want another. I'm not gonna bust. I'm not gonna be buying another 1,000 Star Wars figures. I have to be very, very, very picky on this next batch. You know?
Or very, very, very alone.
Yeah, or that too. Yes. You know,
Also, Star Wars news: Han shot first. It's official.
Officially shot first.
Peter Mayhew posted his script, a picture of his original script online. Greedo never fired a single shot. So suck it, George Lucas.
That's right. And that's right there.
Lando could tell you that he shot first as well. Heyo!
Is what it is.
His wife!
His wife.
The woman he made love to!
Penis joke. Hashtag black kids.
What?
It's Lando. He's the only black guy in the entire Star Wars universe.
He is the only black guy in the
as
entire
to our
He's not a
knowledge.
kid!
But he's produced. He's the only one. He's got. Yeah, he's to our knowledge the one responsible for
Mace Windu.
Yeah.
They're not the same person.
No.
Mace Windu's dead.
But Mace Windu was a Jedi.
And a Jedi.
He had no kids.
He can't.
Was
We
not
don't know
married.
that.
He was.
He was a Jedi, but he was still Sam Jackson.
He was a good Jedi.
He was a
though,
good Jedi.
So.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard his fighting style did dip into the dark side, so maybe he's got some wiggle room there.
Yeah.
Little drink.
Wiggle.
Gag.
God, that's a terrible song.
It is. Sorry about that, everybody.
But man, all right. Oh, dude, hold on. We have to give it a minute, and then now you need to throw up the WWE #1 trending worldwide Twitter right now.
Hashtag
30 seconds. Within 30 seconds of us.
Easy
saying
WWE.
it. Yeah. #1 worldwide trend right now.
Hashtag black kids.
Yeah.
We thought we were doing really well. Then we realized a cop in Colorado got a little bit handsy with his gun.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Race relations.
That's something, you know. Well, you know what? We can
Off the rails, man. We're just
No, but along those lines, I think that is something we'll definitely discuss in the future. I mean, you know, race relations in comics is a big deal.
Yeah.
And this is something that kind of goes back, and we'll save it for a future discussion. But yeah, race and sex in comics. Actually, that might be a good topic for our next podcast.
Because you can argue right now that they're really making they're really going after the female demographic.
Oh, huge! Yeah.
But I mean, where's our minorities? You know,
Right.
where's my?
Well, it's Miles Morales. We talked about, you know, and it's like when you
little bit, but not.
But it's like our Hispanic heroes and our which we can discuss more in the future. I myself, it does need some work, but like we saw with Captain America, when they just blatantly change a character, you know, Thor, Wolverine.
Well, yeah.
When it's things like that, or like Captain America, where it's like, oh, we'll make him Falcon. Okay, we have a black Captain America.
No,
Are you happy? Is everybody happy? We have a black Captain America, and it's like, no, I'm not happy because that's not Captain America. That's the Falcon.
Yeah.
Like, give us some new characters. Give us.
What was wrong with the Falcon? Why can't the Falcon just take over for Captain America?
He should just be the Falcon.
Right.
Yeah, and that kind of falls back on our whole mantle thing on how everything. You know, if that's going to be the case, then where it's just like, you know, Wolverine. Okay, let's have. You know what? I want a black German Wolverine.
Yes.
I don't think they are indigenous to that country.
Well, Marvel can make it happen.
And most of the time, they're kind of brown and not black.
No.
I'm
talking about the animal.
I'd read that comic though. I'd read that comic.
Why not?
Yeah.
About the animal even.
Yeah.
38 pages of Wolverine just walking around looking for food, you know?
May as well. Be just as entertaining as Wolverine.
Didn't find any food today. Guess I'll just go to bed now.
Yeah. Issue 2, will he?
We don't know.
Which, did you guys read Wolverine Origins 2?
Yeah. I thought
that was kind of... The first couple issues were pretty much that. Was like him hanging out with bears and there was no dialogue. It was like... Well, not bears, wolves, excuse me.
Right.
Whatever animal raised the Wolverine. Ironically, not Wolverine.
Not Wolverine.
Weird, right?
Yeah.
Which...
The Wolverine.
Yeah, the Wolverine.
Hashtag Wolverine.
That's who Logan is coming back as, the Wolverine.
Yes. Oh, man. But yeah, we'll... we got some good topics. Let us know what you guys think, of course. For those of you that have listened to this entire podcast, thank you. give us your ideas. I mean, there's this is an open forum. I mean, there's nothing taboo here. Nothing that we're afraid to talk about, to not talk about. Need help with your sex life, movies, how to change the oil on a 62 Pinto.
That I will not do.
We got it for you. We'll figure it out.
And the best thing is that this is a podcast, so we can talk you through how to change oil.
Absolutely, easy.
You could put this on your podcast on your iPod right now. I'm gonna make freaking millions. Okay, take that screw.
Are you Josh?
Hey, man.
This is the same damn thing Josh was talking about with podcasts. Like, what are we going to talk about the podcast? Well, we can talk about cars. Like, why are we talking about cars with our comic book podcast, Josh? And now you. Maybe we could change the oil.
Hey, man. It's money.
If it gets views and
this guy is going to start going into stereo equipment.
Let's do it. You know?
Why not?
It'll be awesome.
Let's do it. Man. Well, that being said,
even when Josh isn't here, he's here.
That's right, forever and always.
Sounds like he's dead.
He did have a child.
We miss you, Josh. Yeah,
come back, please.
Yeah, married, not buried. Man. So, anyways, as we wrap things up, I did have some picks to throw out real fast for you guys. Post Convergence. We get Constantine, the Hellblazer, back at it, unlike the show. The show is not coming back, but the comic did. It is now Constantine, the Hellblazer. They had some mix-ups there. So for those of you that were keeping track, yes, that did get rebooted twice in the last 2.5 years.
And he's naked.
Is what it is. It's Constantine. The show did not survive NBC's axe, rightfully so. Hopefully we'll see it picked up elsewhere in the future. Stars, Showtime perhaps.
Maybe
Nick Lachey.
If they do it on
Twix ads. We won't go into that this week.
If they bring Constantine back on a video on demand service, they could probably bring back the smoking too, do you think? And
smoking and he has to have swearing and sex and violence and he's a big chain smoking sex fiend.
Nothing wrong with that.
Paranormal, right? Yeah. But you need to show that. And people is like, oh well, no, you don't. It can be implied, and it's like, no, this is the type of book where
that's the character.
If there's any character that you want waking up with a bottle of JD and a couple empty packs of cigarettes and a couple ladies lying in his bed and
sometimes guys.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that, but Constantine was.
Yeah, he'd do what he needed to do.
He wasn't a switch hitter.
Yeah.
As much as he was. God, how can I put this? If 6 people showed up to play basketball, he wouldn't make the 6th go home.
That is a terrible analogy.
All right.
When I'm not here, I'm giving sex education classes.
Yeah. So if you throw the ball and it goes near the hole, the odds of scoring a point are 0. But if you throw your ball and it goes into the hole,
so wearing protection is like a 5-4 dime defense.
Yeah. Keep the RB near the LD.
Yeah. Keep going with your picks. I'm stupid. I'm sorry.
Also, coming out of a anything to do with Convergence, post-Convergence, Starfire, #1, coming at us from Amanda Connor, who we know from her Harley Quinn fame right now. Starfire, as of now, I think has a really good shot. They're definitely reaching for that young girl audience. I gave it a read earlier today. It's goofy, and there's a shopping scene already. It's Starfire showing up on Earth, telling her story.
Oh, she's wearing clothes again too.
She's wearing
more clothes again.
Yep.
That's always a step
it touches on that a little bit. I think this one, I don't know if it will grab the Harley audience, but I think it has a really good chance because people, like we were talking about before, DC is pushing the ladies and they need to play catch up. And Starfire, after breaking away from Red Hood and the Outlaws, and that book becoming its own thing, Starfire is going to have her own series here. We have Harley Quinn and Power Girl coming out in the future. Poison Ivy is going to potentially have her own book come August, September. I think the artwork's good. They have to make her bubbly.
A lot of well-placed leaves and bubbles, it's looking like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
you get a shower, Starfire in the shower.
Good times.
We got that going on. And lastly, I was beyond ecstatic. From Titan Publishing, our friends over in the UK, 21st Century Tank Girl. And I don't know about you guys, I was a huge Tank Girl fan. Jimmy Hewlett is back doing what he does best. He hasn't been doing anything with Gorillas for quite a while, so he's back on the comic circuit. And I have a lot of high hopes for this book. And just flipping through it earlier, is Tank Girls through and through. And man, I can't wait to see more. You guys go out, pick it up. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you don't think.
More well-placed bubbles. What do you know?
Hey,
it's almost like they're going for a male demographic. I could be wrong, but
is what it is. But yeah, friggin' 21st Century Tank Girl from Titan. And then of course Star Wars 6. We talked. That was in my picks last week. But get out there and shops should be. This week and next week should be getting a whole bunch of reprints now of Star Wars 1 through 5. I think number 1's up to a 6th or a 7th print now.
Jeez.
And then of course that first trade's due out before too long. And it is June, so DC Comics is back on track post-Convergence. Harley Quinn 17's back on racks this week. We got Suicide Squad will be out. Secret 6 will be coming out. Batman this week.
Bunny Ears Batman.
Yeah, we got Jim Gordon, which is not on my pick at the moment. I actually have him buried in the box yet for tomorrow. What the heck? But Jim Gordon, full effect. So is what it is. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. I've been Mike.
I've been in better places.
When you reach for a dream, don't forget to hold on to hope. Good night. See what I did there? Now everyone's gonna remember that.
Thanks, Mariah Carey. When you wish upon a star,